Hello viewers, Super GT here. Thank you for joining me for another video on Gran Turismo Sport. So, recently my driver rating and sportsmanship rating have taken a battering. You can see there, AB. I'm an AB rated driver. And in fact, I got reset to 40,000 and SR down to 57. And this happens. This happened maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Got the reset. And now it's time to rebuild our broken ratings. And we're going to do that first here at the Red Bull Ring with the Super Formula race. And the key thing here really is to survive turn 1, which kind of happens. We do get a nice little tap through the apex, but now we must escape. And the job now is to survive turn 3. Officially turn 3, but turn 2 if you like. And it's not quite going to happen, is it, of course? And the main thing we're trying to do here, really, is to have a clean race. Get that SR back up, and oh, hello. Norwegian guy saying hi as he goes up into the lead. Guy on my left-hand side. Oh, God, it's really not going to plan here. We start on pole position, and all of a sudden, we find ourselves in second. And, you know, in this situation, all I want to do is just get in the lead, pull away, have a clean, safe race with no collisions, no penalties, and get that sportsmanship rating back up so that we can race in the top level. But bit of a spanner in the works on lap 1 here. So now we have to return into the lead as soon as we can. We're going to use the overtake function. Are we? We're going to tuck into the slipstream. That's enough. Into turn 1, we're going to get the job done here. On the brakes, is he going to fight it? No, not really. But now is the time to get on that overtake button and fly away from the pack. And just make sure that we are out of range, out of striking distance into turn 3. I suppose in this level of lobby, you're never quite out of striking range. You just never know what's going to happen, do you? Well, we pull away. And on the exit of the hairpin, now nearly a second ahead. So really it's just a case of trying to pull away and have a nice safe race. It's a nice safe journey from here to the end. And that is what happened. Apart from here, I guess I got distracted by the Swedish driver just going a little bit wide there and run a couple of pixels beyond the track limit. Get ourselves a half a second penalty, serving it a lap later. A bit frustrating because, you know, we're trying to have a clean race. But other than that one blemish, it was a clean race, and we came round after 19 minutes to win that one. So that's good, but that isn't good. Pretty much everyone with a penalty, no one actually knows the tyre rules, it seems. But we win, and we can take a look at our ratings. We've gone blue. That's a good sign, and actually we've now become a member of the AA, and having a look at Kudos Prime, driver rating barely went up by only 21, but sportsmanship went up to 78, so that's a good gain of about 20. So hopefully we can have another clean race, then, well, we'll be well back in the S sportsmanship bracket. Coming up to turn 1 then, and we've got the Ferrari up the inside. It's not a Ferrari, it's just red, but we're going to call it a Ferrari. And all manner of hell breaking loose at the back of the pack there. And then this Swedish driver comes through out of nowhere to gain the lead. So it's a bit of deja vu from the previous one. We're not able to keep the lead straight away. And I suppose it is quite tricky given that it is the standing start. So you're quite close to the pack behind, or they're quite close to you, depending on how you want to put it. And therefore there's always a chance that you can get sent into turn 1. So we've got this guy. He's actually pretty quick. It took me until about lap 4 here to get back on him. It's hard to know exactly how much overtake function he's using. He might have used all of it by now. You can't really be sure. But I've still got a fair amount of mine left, probably about 90% of it left. Coming through the second to last corner, and just as I get really close to him, that's when the dirty air really begins to be activated. And you see there, just understeering wide, and we're going to get that penalty. Very frustrating. We're going to have to serve it here on lap 5. and going to attempt to get back on him and try to overtake him properly this time. So by lap 6 we were back on him, going purple in the first sector, and now I'm not really going to mess about. Sometimes it's very easy to be conservative with the overtake button and just wait too long to use it, but you know, now that I'm right on him, we're just going to mash the hell out of it. So coming out of this turn, you can see they're activating the overtake function and using it exactly as intended to go up the inside and take the lead. And now it's really a case of just trying to pull away the best we can, making sure that we're out of striking distance, and again we can go and have that nice clean race. So do let me know your ratings at the moment, because I'm sure there's many of you who have taken a bit of a battering in terms of SR or DR. I've got the reset. I think that's the 3rd time it's happened to me. The driver rating reset back down to 40,000. I was on about 65,000, I think, about that at my peak anyway. Okay, coming in pit lane and changing tyres, and coming out about 8 seconds in the lead. This one on lap 12. And therefore that was quite a comfortable race in the end. That guy was actually quite quick at the start, but then he just really fell away once I got past him, and we crossed the line to win. And would you look at that? Good news, everyone. We've actually gone up into S, 98 SR, so good stuff. DR going up a little bit by 300 or so. So it was getting quite late. I was getting quite tired. We turn off the PlayStation and we come back the next day with the intent to do this race, the Group 3 at Sardinia. Having a quick look at the fastest times, 39.6, the fastest. Usually I try to aim for 1 second off the quickest, so we're looking at a 40.6. But actually we're looking at the wall, because, well, I was just rubbish. This track was really weird. This is a weird circuit. I couldn't quite adjust to it. So, as I typically do, watching the #1 time to see how they went about their lap. And we're using the Lamborghini Huracan here. And this is a car that's very difficult to drive, and one that is very quick in a straight line, but you have to drive in a certain way. And you'll notice that this guy here, keeping traces of throttle on throughout the corners, just to keep the back end settled, and that really is something I picked up from this replay. So always seemingly keeping just a tiny amount of power to keep the car under control. So the main characteristic of this lap is just it's very tidy. It doesn't seem like anything special. I mean, that's kind of not doing it justice, to be fair, but it's just like a really, really tidy lap. It just nails everything. Doesn't seem spectacular, but that's often the way you get speed in racing. It doesn't look quick, it's just very tidy and very gracious, and that's what this guy has done. So through the final sequence, keep it to the left into second gear to get himself a good run on the way out, and then up to the line. That was a 39.6, and I managed to be inspired by that to improve mine to a 40.8. We're still a couple of tenths off, a 1 second away from that top time. We do improve. Ultimate time there could have been a 40.5, so there is room for improvement. But we jump into our first race here, and we find ourselves in an Aston Martin sandwich with a couple of the V12 big boys either side of me. Basic Ollie there in the lead. We had a very good race with him recently at Spa, so let's see if we can have another good race here. And this was always going to be a bit of a weird one, this race, because one, it's a weird track. It's not a track that really has come up all that often, if ever. I think it may well have done in the past, maybe for FIAs, but I don't really remember doing it in daily races. But also, of course, I've only done time trial on it so far, and therefore racing is a different matter, because you have the distraction of other drivers, and you could easily miss your braking points, such as this. It looked like a ridiculous lunge, and it kind of was, I guess. But I just completely forgot where to brake, and just went in way too hot. And actually I've lost ground to Basic Ollie, and now under attack from the Greek driver behind. Thank you, I've just about got the slipstream. of the Aston Martin in front, and we can hold our position here in second. So that could have ended worse, for sure. Could have got a penalty quite easily, and thankfully that didn't happen. And also could have wiped out Ollie, wiped out myself, could have lost a position. So actually, all things considered, could have been worse, and it turned out to be not too bad. And I would say that the penalty system does seem a little bit better at the moment. Maybe it's the track that's different, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, or they changed it in an update. It does seem a little bit more forgiving currently, which is good because it was just absolutely stupid how it was a couple of weeks ago. End of lap 1, tucking into the slipstream. As long as you're within 3/4 of a second, then you're okay. You're in the suck zone, and we've brought that deficit back to less than 4/10 and carrying the speed in there really nicely. And you can see there we were basically 7/10 behind, and now just 2/10 behind. So we gained half a second since the end of lap 1. So that's good going. And here we've got the momentum here. We're going to poke and nose up the inside, not really attempting to go for the move, just to try to put him out of position to make him go narrow into this one. He does. He gets a good exit though. But I'd say this section here is probably the most crucial in terms of overtaking. You've got the longest straights into a good overtaking opportunity. And where is Ollie going to go? He's going to go to the right. I'm going to go to the left therefore. And oh, there's a bit of a collision. I'm not sure where the space was, but we're going to go around the outside and take the lead of the race. So now it's a matter of just not buckling under the pressure and just trying to nail those qualifying laps and not get too distracted by the driver behind. Tricky little chicane this one here. Have a hint of a lift through that right-hander. Perhaps could have gotten the power a little bit earlier. And then you've got this technical final sequence of 3 corners. First one there, and then this one quite awkward because you're braking on the way through it. And then the nicely cambered final turn back onto the main straight. So 4/10 ahead here as we round out lap 2 and therefore half the race. Crossing the line with a 41.3, which is the fastest of the race so far. Tucking into that extra tarmac on the right hand side to give yourself a better run through turn 1. Ollie not close enough to go for that move into turn 2. So we just take our normal racing line and get through there just fine. And using the extra curb on the left hand side to make sure we get as good exit and a good entry into this one, using the shadow as a turning reference into that corner. And then you should be flat out through this little sequence here. And this corner here, coming up, the left-hander into this right-hand hairpin, definitely my bogey corner. I couldn't quite really work that one out. Awkward because, of course, you're turning whilst you're braking, and it's just difficult to get right. I'm sure you'll agree. I'm sure you'll agree. Maybe you won't. Maybe you're really good. Maybe you're better than me, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Braking on the 100, and oh, it's very close. Put my car mid track there to kind of fend off that move, and it just about worked. Braking about 80 metres before that corner, just after the 100 board. A little bit wider than I'd like going into this right-hander, but we've still got the power nicely, and we're through there just fine. 4/10 ahead as we enter the final sequence for the 3rd time. Going through here, we need to get a good exit. That's crucial here. Getting a good exit out of this one onto the main straight. So 2 really good overtaking opportunities on this lap. One at the back straight and then the other here on the main straight. And I thought I was fine here. He seemed just creeping into the radar, and he's going to go for the move. He's going to pull to the inside. I should have defended it really. I tried to hang it around the outside to let him slot in ahead. But it's about this point here that I realised that my fate was inevitable. And there we go. We actually got killed. Murdered. Finished 3rd. Okay, could have been a win. Bit of a rusty performance, a couple of mistakes. But we gained SR, which is good. And that's the main thing that we're trying to do here. We jumped back into time trial and managed to improve, just chipping away slightly on what was a 40.723, but improved to a 707. An improvement is an improvement after all, so you can't complain too much. But this lap here was where we really got it all hooked up. So we jumped into another session, braking just before the 100 board, and then going in here in 2nd gear. And actually, That was a little bit wide, and probably could have gained 10th there. Wasn't the best turn 2. But looking into this sequence here, braking again just on that shadow and turning in, using as much of the track as possible and getting on the power as early as possible, of course, for every last 10th or 10th of a 10th. So coming to this one, are we going to get it right for once? A little bit better, I would say a hint of an overshoot, but not too bad. And on the power as early as we can get. Keep to the left hand side. You can use the 100 board as a reference, or you can use the shadows on the ground as a reference. Of course, there's no dynamic time of day in Gran Turismo Sport, so the shadows aren't going to move, they're not going to change. So you can use those as a reliable and consistent braking point. Okay, so through this one, taking a nice mid-entry into this right-hander on the power as early as we could realistically get. And then into the final 3 corners. Can we get this one nailed to set ourselves a good lap? It's been a good lap so far, other than maybe turn 2, which was average. There could have been time gain there. And the rest of the lap was rather hooked up, kept it nice and tidy. On the run up to the line is going to be a 40.4. Just under a 5. And it just shows you, I was trying so long, and I kept getting 40.7s, but then we jump in, and first lap do a 40.4. So good stuff. Let's try to capitalise on that now by bringing home a victory if possible. So we're now in S sportsmanship, so we are against the better drivers. Excuse me if you found your name on one of those first 2 races. I don't mean it in a nasty way, but the ratings do all the talking, and we're in the top rating now. But I still need to improve my driver rating, because of course that got reset to 40,000, whereas it was more than 60. I think 65 at its peak. So that's got a lot of work to do. And we'll have a look at the end of the video what I can get my driver rating up to after these couple of races here. So now, starting first, obviously it's a very different race, as well you are looking forwards, obviously. You can't really look back and expect to win a race the whole time. But it is quite a different dynamic starting second than starting first. The main thing here is really just try to set consistent laps and try to break the toe. As we mentioned, 7 or 3/4 of a second, should we say, to break the toe. At the moment, what is it? Just shy of 7/10. So I'm not quite doing enough. If I can just have a really good last couple of corners here, then there is a chance that we could break the toe. Let's have a look. Not quite as tight as I'd like. And on the exit, let's have a look. It is just shy of 3/4 of a second. So he is just in the toe. So haven't done quite enough. It just shows you the fine margins in motorsport. If I could have just gone half a tenth quicker there, I would have got away. And now he's just going to gain a couple of tenths back on me for free on the main straight. And into turn 2, nice and tidy. Tidiness is the key here. As you see there, the gap comes down to less than 6/10, so he gained a couple of tenths on me there, courtesy of the slipstream and my poor line out of the final corner on lap 1. But I'm going to try to have a nice corner here. Finally getting used to this one. It's easy to overcook that one. Well, actually, I say I get used to it. I've overcooked it again, and I've lost a couple of crucial tenths. So now the Russian is going to be well within range here to go for a move. In fact, you can have a look at the radar there, bottom right of the screen. It's coming through. He is close. I'm going to go central here. Just make sure he doesn't go for the move, and he doesn't. So just doing enough to keep him behind. He perhaps wasn't close enough to go for that move anyway. It is easy to assume that once they're in the radar range that they can go for a move, but you know, if they're sensible, they probably won't go for that big dive bomb. And I'd say that's the crucial difference between when you get S sportsmanship and when you're, B sportsmanship. People are just going to go for those moves. They see an opening, even if they are 100 metres back, and they'll just go for it, typically, or more often they will. So that's kind of the difference you'll notice. So anyway, end of lap 2, still within range. I go for a 41.1, but the Russian with a 40.8, so he's got decent speed here. So he's not to be discounted in this race at all. He's within 3/10 as we brake into turn 2, and that is not quite close enough to go for that move. So we can just focus on our lines now through this section. As he makes a bit of a mistake on the exit of turn 2, and the gap opens back up to 6/10. So now, if I can have a good section here, it's really just about trying to open up that margin to above 3/4 of a second. Can I do it? Can I get that done? Finally getting that corner a little bit more hooked up on the exit. That is a good exit, and the gap does come up. In fact, it's now, have a look, nearly 8/10. So now, I suppose it's just really a case of trying to keep that margin until we get back onto the main straight. So it's a game of gaps, as weird as that might sound. A game of margins, a game of time differential. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it? But on the main straight we do have that gap, and eventually we brought that one home quite comfortably in the end, by over a second. So a decent victory, had to work for that one. That guy could have got within striking range, or he did a couple of times. But we go again. We still want to improve our ratings, so we go once more. From pole position, we have now a Spaniard added into the mixer, and he's the buffer between myself and the Russian who we just raced. So coming through turn 1, coming towards turn 2, and of course with the slipstream, I'm not going to take any chances here, as he does get quite close. Show him to the outside. As you can see on the radar, there's no chance of anything happening if he goes to the left-hand side going into that right-hander. So show him to that side, nothing can quite happen. So now, again, just settle into the race. Still got the cold tyres, so make sure we don't do anything stupid just yet. And then it's really a case of being as clinical as possible and just trying to break that toe. And it's just a tick box, really. A series of tick boxes. Don't die at turn 1, don't die at turn 2, don't die at turn 3, break the toe, and then, well, just then set consistent laps to the end. And that should do it most of the time, especially on race B. It's only 4 laps. Don't have much time to get the job done, or should I say the guys behind don't have much time to get their job done on you, trying to get past. So start of lap 2, decent enough gap here coming into turn 2. And we're going to take that one nicely. I do need to get back into Gran Turismo Sport a little bit more, as I haven't really done an FIA race in a long time. I guess you guys are missing those. I can't remember the last time we did an FIA intro. Must be many months ago. But enjoying the daily races at the moment, and of course I do need to improve my driver rating once again, as we've mentioned many times. But the FIA will come back at some point. Okay, gap opened up to over a second at that point there, and then by the end, I'm not sure what happened, but the gap really opened up massively. It's over 5.5 seconds, and we set the purple lap on the last lap, and we record another win. 176 on this account now. But we are going to go once more and try to improve our ratings further. Not the best turn 1 on this occasion. Again, we're going to show them to the outside. Very difficult for anything to happen if they go to that side. And indeed, well, it doesn't happen for him. So we move through turn 2 into the lead, or keep the lead, should I say. And we're going to try to do another job here. But this race was a little bit closer than the previous one. The previous one, the Spaniard never really got close enough to go for a move. But this one was different. He did get closer. He or she did get closer. And you see here, only 3.5 tenths behind. And I'd say that is quite dangerous. That's a dangerous distance for them to be behind, because these straights are fairly lengthy, and therefore by the time you get to the braking zone of the next corner, there is a chance they could go for a move. He is within the radar, not quite close enough to go for it. But again, it's just really a case now of stringing together the next section before the next straight. And that's how I characterise this track. It's really a case of build the distance, build the gap before you get to each straight. And I actually make a mistake there. He's got the momentum to go around the outside. So we're not even going to build a gap before the straight. He's actually going to get past me before the straight. So that's actually a good move, or an opportunistic move. I just didn't quite get the momentum as I got the exit all wrong out of that chicane. But now it's roles reversed. We're going to try to go for the move. best we can. Are we going to be close enough into the first corner? Not quite. But you can see the speed differential there as we pull into the slipstream. We go semi-defensive. Am I able to go for that move? No, that would be a massive overcook. In fact, he overcooked it, if anything. And now we're side by side coming into this section. Am I going to back out? I've got half a car alongside. And actually, that's good racing. We both go side by side through there. Just trying to put him out of position. But he does tuck in ahead by this point here. And again here, just trying to put your nose up. You're not trying to go for the move there. You're just trying to make them go narrow into this hairpin. And therefore they're going to get a poor exit. In fact, you're getting an alright exit, but I'm within range here to go for a move. A quarter of a second behind. It's coming down. Let's see which side he goes to commit to. It's an awkward one because there's a kink to the left here, but it's into a right-hander, which is actually the crucial corner. He goes to the right to defend the inside for this corner, but I just about managed to get the momentum and the run through the left kink to get ahead. So beginning of lap 3, a poor run through turn 1. Thankfully he's not quite close enough to go for that move. Well, in fact he is, because I braked a little bit too early and he just put it right up the inside, right into that position that I could not reply to that. I couldn't cut him back, and I couldn't think quickly enough to go around the outside of him. So the mistake I made there was just braking a little bit too early, maybe about 30 metres too early. And that gave him the invitation just to send it up the inside, and he did that, and he got it done. So again, roles reversed. I'm going to try to go for this overtake, and it's a bit of deja vu here as he gets a poor exit. That's what I was trying to make him do on the previous lap, and he did it there. So now we've got the speed to go past him on the right hand side. So we will have the left kink in his favour here, but then I will have the right hander. We'll have the inside here, and make sure we don't overcook it. Keep to the apex, and we've got the job done. So back into the lead. It's a good battle. We're changing many times for the lead, and there's respect shown between the two of us, and that's always good. You know, that's what we want to see. On the exit of this corner, just overcooking it into the gravel, pulls us wide, and just could not keep control. Really, really shameful mistake. Tragic, in fact. And we dropped down a couple of positions here, quite frustratingly. On the last lap, with only one lap to go now, we fall into 6th place, would you know. It just had to happen, didn't it? The curse continues. Just couldn't quite control that, which was really frustrating. Just pushing a little bit too much to get that gap, maybe overthinking it a bit too much. But we put ourselves in here with a shout of getting 5th, so it might not necessarily be a 6th place. He just kicks a little bit of dust up there, does the Italian on the exit of that corner. Can we go for this move? Probably not going to go for the move. We're going to try to make him go narrow as he does and get a good exit and slipstream past him to the line. Let's see if that's possible. As you tuck right in, the line does come up quite soon on this straight, maybe about halfway up it, I guess. And it's not quite enough. We do set the fastest lap on that last lap, courtesy of that slipstream as well. But quite frustratingly, it's going to be a 6th place, which probably should have been a win, or at least a 2nd. But there you go, you can't win them all. Main thing here really though is improving our ratings. So we've got back up to S, sportsmanship, and we improved 43,000, so we've gone up by 3,300. So not too bad. We need to have a couple more sessions like that to get back above 50 and therefore A+. But that's all from me today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, maybe give us a subscription if you did enjoy it, and a like. Twitter and Instagram, all linked below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.